Now this is what you call South African beauty. Welcome to Baardskeerdersbos. Now that is a tongue twister even for an Afrikaans speaker. Let's go and explore. Yes everyone, welcome back to the channel. We are indeed in Baardskeerdersbos. The literal translation is Beardshaversbush. And I'll tell you more about the name in a second. I just want to show you something the people in the area are very proud of. A paved road. This road used to be mostly unpaved for several kilometers. But you've got Gansbaai in that direction. And you've got places like Bredasdorp, Napier and Caledon in that direction. And this paved road since about 2015 means that the town is now much more accessible for big buses such as this one. And you can see it's not just cars that use the road, but farm animals as well. This is the road on which farm animals travel to their next destination. So I guess that's the first thing to note about B-bos, is just how much better connected it is nowadays. It's a very strong farming community in this part of the world, in particular dairy farms. You can see there the faded P and AL in Parmalat, but there is an unfaded Parmalat over there in this particular farm. So lots of dairy farms in the region. Other types of farming includes sheep farming, and with a strong farming community comes interesting markets. And you can see this guy has taken a turn for the worse, buried there with his legs and feet up. I guess an artistic element added there as well, and there are lots of artists in B-bos, a strong artistic community which we'll talk about later as well. But yeah, markets such as roosterkoek and other things for sale here. In terms of a name, Baardskeerdersbos or Beardshaversbush, I could find two possible explanations for the origin of a name. The first explanation talks about an expedition that the Dutch East India Company sent out to this area around about the 1600s. And this expedition reported back about a spider-like creature. And this spider-like creature was known to the Khoi people at the time, and which legend has it was known for cutting human hair for nest making purposes. The Baardskeerder or the beard shaver. The second explanation draws on the fact that B-bos is situated here on an old ox wagon trail. As early as the early 1700s, ox wagons were traveling along the roads in the region here, and here in B-bos there was a stopover for them, and apparently there was a large bush and lots of fresh water. Here you can see some of the water in the area. I'll talk more about that in due course. But there was lots of water for people stopping over here back in the day. And legend has it there was also someone who lived here who made some money operating some sort of hair salon or hair saloon for the men who stopped by, shaving their hair and their beards. So literally a beard shaver. So two possible explanations for the name Baardskeerdersbos. Firstly, the spider-like creature that was known to the Khoi people at the time as the beard shaver, or secondly, literally someone who shaved the beards of travelers passing here on an ox wagon trail, the beard shaver. We are 21 kilometers away from my old hometown Gansbaai, but let me tell you, back in the day this was quite a journey getting here on a gravel road. At least now with a paved road it is much easier. And I can also say that it is a special place for my father, who loved B-bos when he was still living in Gansbaai. He would often come here as a little bit of a retreat for himself, just to come and unwind. And my father really connected with the people of the area. And so for me this is also a very nice journey in that regard. I've not been here for about 15 years or so. And first impressions definitely is that there's a lot of building works going on. Yeah, lots of people have moved to the area trying to escape the hustle and bustle of a city. And this is a general trend in South Africa. It's not just particular to Baardskeerdersbos or B-bos. I think generally there's a trend of people getting out of the cities and into the countryside, taking advantage of hybrid working. But yes, why not? Because look at the beautiful nature around here. And yes, so this is the road leading into the village, and along the way there are some properties with sheep grazing. You can see some spacious plots here in B-bos as well. People love their big properties. Space is not an issue in this part of South Africa, and there's another water stream. And yes, from an H2O perspective, B-bos has a very favorable location. Lots of water in the area, so lots of water for farmers in the region. But historically, for the young people of B-bos, there were not many job opportunities over the years. So what happened was they would typically seek opportunities elsewhere. The young people typically turned to the sea for work, so places such as Gansbaai, but also as far as Walvis Bay in modern day Namibia. So that is quite a journey. But I know of a local farmer and entrepreneur, Koos de Wet, who owned a fishing boat and who caught fish in Walvis Bay with a boat aptly named Voorwaarts. So onwards and upwards. And other names from this part of the world who sought opportunities elsewhere. They include Mani Groenewald. Of course, we'll talk a lot about him. He's probably the most well-known person from this part of the world. And there's also Loser Fourie, Boelie Fourie and Bennett Ace. There are many stories from those days. They would work for months, earn some money, and then they would come home December, just in time for the holidays. And Mani Groenewald remembers how they would blast the car horns as they drive here back from their origins, such as Walvis Bay. And obviously that created a grand reception from their families who hadn't seen them in ages. It was like a scene from a reunion movie, complete with laughter and joy as they returned from the sea. So back in the day, of course, this would still have been a gravel road, but they would get a hero's welcome, the old B-bos. And yes, a lot have changed in B-bos over the years. I don't know if I remember this pizzeria here. Don't know how long this has been around, but you've got a nice place here where you can have some pizzas and steaks. Restaurant open over there. And I mentioned a lot of people have moved here. In this area you've got lots of Gauteng province number plates. Alright everyone, we are just about to see the CBD of B-bos, the commercial heart of the village. But just wanted to show you this property here. Just look how wonderful this is. A beautiful eccentric touch here. Look at all the colorful tires on the roof, all the kettles as well over there. And is that a mask of some sort? Not sure, but of course some beautiful flowers and potted plants as well. Something different is what I would say. Gees. And certainly there's a strong artist community. But anyways, onwards and upwards. Voorwaarts, as we would say in B-bos. There's some interesting historic shops I'll talk about. But yeah, along the main road you'll see lots of houses have got dogs as their primary means of protection. Not really big robust fences. People have a very peaceful existence here, quite different from many cities and urban areas. And here we go guys, the only shop in B-bos, the B-bos winkel en drankwinkel. So B-bos shop and liquor store. And this used to be the shop of Mani Groenewald, who I mentioned earlier. Mani is probably the most well-known resident of Baardskeerdersbos in its history. He's of course the guitarist and the singer of the Baardskeerdersbos Orkest, a band well loved amongst Afrikaners. Mani is of course no longer with us, but we all remember him dearly. And I understand he opened the shop around 1969, 1970. And his daughter now owns the shop, and she's kept it very much the same. We have a noisy resident here. His name is Whiskey. Hello Whiskey. How are you? Sending love, big guy. This is important to remember. It's the only shop in B-bos, and it has to cater for a wide audience. Lots of people from farms and of course the locals here in the town. This is the only shop they have for several kilometers. They don't want to sell stuff that's necessarily perishable. Of course, the farming community will need a lot of tinned food. You can see the classic biscuits, the Mari biscuits. You've got the sugar, full cream milk. This is a very, very nice, well organized shop. And of course all the other things you'll need in the home, like doom and insect repellent, mosquito repellent. And the most interesting is probably the ceiling here. Look at this collection of old implements and trinkets, stuff they would have used in houses many, many years ago. There's even some photographs here as well. Undoubtedly some wonderful memories hanging here as well. You've got the los lekkers as well, classic South African stocky lekkers, lollipops there, R2. Of course in South Africa we love to braai, so you'll get some wood for the fire. So yeah, that was it, the B-bos winkel and drankwinkel still in operation here. And for many years this was the only way to get petrol in B-bos, and today I don't think there is any petrol. So there you go, no petrol at the moment. Next to the shop here, this is the old house of Mani Groenewald and his wife Mara. He was at the kitchen table in this house where Mani wrote many of his hit songs. The Baardskeerdersbos Orkest, of course, well known for hit songs such as Rooispan van Bredaasdorp, or the Red Team from Bredaasdorp, the translation, and 12 bottle can, or 12 bottle can. Mani also wrote the hit song Wie maak vir Gansbaai lekker, which you might have heard from other Afrikaans singers, and the song Rooispan van Bredaasdorp also mentions the Oxwagon Trail from Bredaasdorp in that direction, which I talked about earlier. And yes, this is pretty much a commercial hub of a town. You can see the shop, the liquor store, and the now defunct petrol stop. So I guess you can say it's fairly limited, but you also have Mariki's Pub and Grill here. So I had some breakfast here earlier and I'll show you some footage now. Here goes. I've just arrived at Mariki's restaurant and there's some beautiful art greeting me here immediately. And here's the entrance, let's go check it out. It's not just people dining here, but the local animals as well, although they seem a bit shy. Look at this, an old donkey cart, and it's now home to some plants for sale. Yeah, the old Castle Lager sign. Here's the bar area, pretty empty at the moment, but it's still very early. That's very South African as well, Springbok velletjie. Check that out, Zimbabwe, $20 billion. Die Strandveldse Mick Jagger. The Mick Jagger of a Strandveld, Mani Groenewald. No longer with us, but we all remember him. Lots of memories over all these years in the pub as well. Lots of other memorabilia. Look at this, All Blacks and West Coast darts. Liewerus Rugby Club in Lutzville, wow. Very, very good. Never trust a skinny cook. These two are having a great time. And a couple of friends here, Mr. Mandela and de Klerk. If you've got any complaints, you can always press the red button here. A mousetrap, I wouldn't recommend it. In Afrikaans, don't move around, buy around. That's brilliant. Various jams and other interesting stuff here. And some interesting art and t-shirts, clothing for sale. Knitted jersey here, 322 Rand. Some fig art, 250 Rand. Lots of variety here in terms of scenes and subjects. High fashion and French theme. And look at this art created from some shells and other marine treasures such as seepompoentjies, sea urchins. Handmade and knitted stuff here as well. Look at that. The minions, 70 bucks. And some cloths for babies there, Becky Bokies. Ah yes, hier syp ons almal saam. Here we all get drunk together. Teddy bears and a little bookshelf here as well for your reading pleasure. Some rusks, biscuit over there. Very specific price, 94 rand. And these cloths and towels as well, 64 rand. Very specific price, very particular price. And if my scrunchies get lost, I can come here for 20 bucks. You having a good time? They are still taking chances here, targeting the leftover food. Here's the menu. You can see there I went for the full breakfast, 130 rand, and I've heard it's absolutely massive. And a coffee, 15 rand as well. It's instant, but hey, you got to do what you got to do. So here's a breakfast, but it's for 2 people. And just look at the size. All the chips there and the bacon, 4 pieces of toast, 2 proper sausages, some cheese, some jam, chips, and some fried eggs there with a little bit of salad or garnish, maybe that's what we call it. Bacon looks very, very crispy as well. Absolutely amazing. 130 rand for the breakfast, although yeah, obviously that's for 2, so keep that in mind. But what a bargain. Look, they've got their priorities straight. They also show the rugby, and of course, who can forget that historic day, 95. All the Springbok emblems, 1906 to 1996. 2 choices for today on the menu. Take it or leave it. This bar closes at 12, but there's no 12. It stops at 10. Yep, we used this before smartphones existed. I have absolutely no idea what this is. If you know, let us know in the comments. Maybe this is something they used on boats or at sea, I'm not sure, but obviously lots of other old farm equipment as well. Look at this, the old kitchen equipment, and it probably still works, some of it. Maybe this one, yeah. Old hairdryer. I might need this old hairdryer, what do you think? And this is Mariki. How are you, Mariki? Nee, kan nie klaar nie man. Ons lyk nie so van draf nie. Dis van vreet. So they don't look like this because of running. Because of eating, although looks pretty skinny. I hope you enjoyed that blast from the past from Mariki's. And I think a good stop for us next is this information board here. You can see it really is a very tiny village. That is the rough outline, not to scale. You got the highway, the Overberg, the bottom there, Gansbaai 25 kilometers away, Cape Town 180. And in that direction you have Pearly Beach, 12 kilometers, and Agulhas, the most southern point of Africa, 75 kilometers away. Watch out for horses and dogs in this area. And yeah, over there they're asking people to take good care of their town and keep it clean. So please don't litter, please don't drink in public, please don't damage property. And what strikes you when you enter B-bos is just how clean it is and how well the people take care of the environment. Ah, here we go. This is one of the postcard photos of Baardskeerdersbos, the church building of a Dutch Reformed church, the NG Kerk Baardskeerdersbos, Dutch Reformed Church Baardskeerdersbos. So from 1922, so more than 100 years old. And here is the old church bell. A few years ago they also built a memorial wall, which is where the ashes of deceased members are kept. I managed to pick up the keys for the church from the shop. They keep a spare key in the shop, which used to be Womani's winkel. Let's have a look here. Open sesame. Give it a little push. Oh, here we go. Inside the church here. Let's just give it a close here for now. All right. Nederduits Gereformeerde Kerk Gansbaai listed there. So B-bos, the congregation falls under Gansbaai as well. Right, here we go. Let's go inside. Give you a shot there of a roof and a very, very small church with modest seating areas. And this is where the minister would stand. For many years, the men and the women sat on different sides. So men one side, women the other side. And just to give you another view here of the church over there, looking towards the minister. And the roof over here. God is liefde, God is love. And you've got an old clock there. You've got some old lights there as well. And that's where they list the songs for the ceremony. And this is where the minister, the dominee, stands. And where they would deliver their services. And this is the view they've got. Yeah, what do you think of the church here in B-bos? Let me know in the comments. You can see the carpet here is in relatively good condition, but I've been informed that there is a smaller piece of carpet over here, right where the minister would enter to hold their sermon. B-bos does not want to change this because they want to keep the original carpet here. They want to keep and preserve the memories and the history here. How wonderful is it that B-bos does not want to change the carpet here? They want to preserve a memory of people who have given services here. Many people attending the services here, they would of course travel from different farms, sometimes covering a lot of distance, just to make it to the Sunday sermon here. There's the hole for the nagmaal wijnglasie, wine during communion. I wonder how many prayers have been prayed in this church over more than 100 years now. Here you've got the hymn books, liedboek van die kerk, and you also have these orange lofsang bundles, Gansbaai hymn books, specific to the Gansbaai congregation. Surrounding the church here, you also have some other buildings, including some Sunday school classrooms. I believe they were built around the year 2000. And there's also a kitchen and a spacious dining hall. Here on the other end of the church, you've got the foundation stone over there. It was laid by Dominee Viljoen on the 31st of May 1922. In the church gardens, they've got this structure here. I have no idea what this is, but I bet this makes a nice house for a tortoise. And I have noticed how well the community look after their church and the gardens. And to me, that signals that the community, they really do love their little church building. A social and communal event here in B-bos of stratospheric importance is the annual church bazaar. Because let's be honest, who can resist homemade pies and a chance to support the local community? And for many years, Mani Groenewald and his band provided some music at the church bazaar, setting the vibe for shopping, dining, and who knows, maybe even a bit of friendly gossip. Today, I believe there's a younger generation of musicians that keep a tradition of boeremuziek alive in this part of the world. So if you've attended any of the B-bos bazaars in this part of the world, let me know in the comments. What is it like? What is it like attending a church bazaar in South Africa more generally? Let us know in the comments. All right, B-bos Church, thank you very much for allowing me to visit. Put the lock on there. Let's go and explore more of this beautiful village. Forage studio and gallery. Let's go inside the art gallery and get a coffee. Open for coffee. Let's check this out. There's a coffee station with some sweet and savory treats. Yeah, just got myself a cappuccino there for 30 rand. There you go, the art route in B-bos. And you've got various places of interest listed there. You've got artist paint brushes here in the windowsill. A very nice view of B-bos. A very nicely decorated place. We've got, yeah, various leaves in photo frames. And some more art. I have to show you this sign. A big danger in B-bos. Caution, children on ponies. Yeah, they're obviously building a house or another facility of some kind, another building. People hard at work. And if you look up the population of B-bos online, you will get a figure of 103. I don't think that is right in 2024. I am going to hazard a guess and say around 300. Many people have left the cities and they've moved to tranquil and peaceful places such as B-bos, especially after COVID as well. People who can do some hybrid working. Why work in your flat in the cities if you can live in a house here in B-bos? Check how they call the cul-de-sac here in B-bos. Straat loop dood. And the literal translation there, street walks dead. But that is, of course, a cul-de-sac. And I am here in the Tuinstraat. So tuin means garden. And of course, this is where the original garden grounds of the early residents of B-bos were. And in 2024, you get some beautiful properties here. People living the good life. Big spacious plots. Lots of water in B-bos, so many houses will have a little dam like this. And of course, look at that. Look at that view over there. The animals grazing and the water seen there as well. And I guess sometimes it's good not to have a paved road. Sometimes a gravel road such as this just adds a little bit of charm, a bit of character. Look, I've got a crowd there of some birds. It looks like they're looking in another direction, but I think they're just eyeing me in the corner there, wondering what I'm doing. Here you can see the site of some of the old gardens. The old B-bosers, they tended to their gardens with shovel, hoe and rake. They were very hard working, down to earth folks that rolled up their sleeves to make a living and provide for their families. Yeah, it's so obvious that people love their gardens here in B-bos. Look at the colors, different flowers. How wonderful it is to walk around here. Nature is so good for the soul, isn't it? And yes, this street walks dead, as they said up there, so I'm not going to walk right to the end. But yeah, you can just see the sheer size of some of the properties, some of the plots around here. Space is not an issue in this part of the world. I've got a history book on B-bos written by a certain Ben Bernardi, which I'll show you a little bit later. But in this book, he says that B-bos used to be part of a larger farm owned by a certain Groenewald and a certain Fourie. And to this day, the Groenewalds and Fouries form the backbone of this community. That larger farm included areas with names such as Diepkloof, Moeraskloof, Concordia, Jacobskraal, Die Poort and Dikvlei. And the families farming on those smaller plots were all descendants or in-laws of the founding Groenewald and Fourie families. And over time, the larger farm was divided into 9 smaller farms for the descendants of Fourie and Groenewald. A portion was also set aside for other descendants who received small plots as garden grounds to build homes and grow vegetables and fruit to ensure there are bread on their tables. Look there, natural health and wellness products for sale, duck eggs 24 rands for 6, and homemade soaps from 30 rand. I believe around the year 2000 municipal plots were demarcated here, and people from the outside, so to speak, they started buying plots and properties here in B-bos. And look at this house here with beautiful flowers and people just hanging their shoes outside, not afraid that it would get nicked. I'd imagine there's very little crime in B-bos. So thank you straat, loop dood. The cul-de-sac here, Tuinerstraat, and let's walk up Kloofstraat, Kloof Street a little bit, and I'll tell you more about water in the area. Yes, look at this beautiful dam, and it looks like they've got some solar power thingy going on there as well. The water flows from a spring higher up in the kloof somewhere here, which provides water for about 10 months of a year. Here we go, the sound of flowing water here from the mountains to B-bos. More of a leewater, the channeled water here in B-bos, supplying water to a lot of properties. I'm a little bit off the beaten track here in B-bos, which is a bit of a weird saying because B-bos is very much already off the beaten track. But just look at this majestic scene here. Incredible to walk here. You feel so well connected to nature. And yes, Geelhout Laan or Yellowwood Lane. Some beautiful old houses here in this particular lane, Geelhout Laan. And yeah, just a peaceful existence, I'd imagine, for many people here. There's a dog acting as a local security guard, and he's doing a good job as well. So what do you think of B-bos? Let me know in the comments. And guys, if you haven't done it yet, please press the like button and subscribe to this channel. By liking and subscribing this video, you make sure to tell the algorithm that I exist and that I make videos, and it's completely free to do so. It really helps me out a lot. And also leave a comment for me in the comment section. The comments are there because they drive up engagement, so that helps me with the algorithm as well. But the main reason is it's just nice to hear from all of you. Yes, this is not a particular sign you see in other parts of the world. Yeah, why are you roaming around? You should be on a leash. But anyway, a peaceful life here in B-bos, even for the dogs. Look at this interesting garden. Look at the shells there for ornaments, and a very rustic feel in this particular garden. Look at that. An old wheelbarrow and the resident tortoise with a beautiful blue shell. And as we walk up from the church, we will get to the old graveyard in this direction. And here's some confusing messaging, I guess. You've got animal crossing speed limit 15 kilometers per hour, and then you've got another sign here that says 20 kilometers per hour. Maybe one is for vehicles and another one for people on animals. But anyways, by driving slowly you also adjust to the pace of life in a small South African village such as B-bos. I've not seen other people on the street today. I've seen a few cars drive past, but it's almost like I've got the town to myself, or the village to myself, I should say. Look there, please stay on the cleared area. We have lots of tortoises. Yes, approaching the cemetery here. Yeah, this is where the deceased of B-bos have been laid to rest over many years. And you can see it's a very humble setting. No fence, just for graves here. And on the gravestones here you will certainly find many Fouries and Groenewalds, and also other surnames such as Swanepoel. And there's a Moelman, and you've got Wessels. There's a few Lourens as well, Swart. In the old B-bos, a special ceremony would take place during funerals. There would be a church service held in the church, and after the service the coffin of a deceased would be carried here to the cemetery. The coffin would be carried on the shoulders of 6 people, and typically they would change or alternate with another 6 along the journey, so typically halfway. As the procession moved, psalms and other spiritual songs were sung, including some of the well-known hallelujah hymns from older generations. Even until very recently, people in B-bos enjoyed singing those hallelujah songs during church services. What is particularly striking and sad in this cemetery is that there are a lot of gravestones of children, especially children born in the 1930s during the Great Depression years. In those years, there were not many medical facilities in this part of the world. A combination of insufficient medical care and extreme poverty led to the death of many children back in those years. Look at this gravestone here. J.C. Lawrence, born on the 22nd of July 1932, passed away on the 24th of June 1943. So just before his 10th birthday. And another Lawrence child here. This one was only a few months old when they passed away. J.J. Swart, born 15th of April 1937, passed away 2nd of December 1938. Alita Bernardi, born on the 8th of August 1931, passed away 21st of July 1936. And a Moelman child who passed away before their first birthday. In the old days, B-bos had a gravestone maker who created these graves, and they used a nail in the wet cement to make the inscriptions. And this is of course a path that people took to carry the coffin towards the cemetery here. As I take a walk back to the church, I will tell you about the local coffin maker who used to take people's measurements for their final resting place. And there's some really interesting stories here as we listen to the sounds of nature as well. And apparently there was an old man who stored his particular coffin in an attic in his home. During the winter times when it was cold and he needed a bit of sun, he would go up to his attic and he would lay in the coffin. I know some of you love a romantic novel or a good love story, and you're going to absolutely love this, no pun intended. In the 1950s and 1960s there were many young men of B-bos who went to Grabouw to find love. Why? Because there was a fruit packing plant where a lot of young women were packing apples and pears, and the men would travel to Grabouw wearing brill cream in their hair and white trousers, and ultimately, if they are very lucky, they'd meet someone who would also wear white on their wedding day in this building. Alright, I'm just walking towards the site of the old school building here in B-bos, and it's now a restaurant and a pub. So quite a unique story there. Lots of cats in the area. Drive slowly, cats are crossing. So that would be your main concern driving in this particular street. Ah, yes, the old school building here. You can see there at the back. I believe this was constructed around 1918, and the first school was not this one. So the first school was operated out of a private home in 1909. So here you go. It's got Die Koshuis written on there, the hostel, but I don't think this was a hostel. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. I think this was the residence of a principal. And Ben Bernardi, whose book I'll show later, was one of the sons of the first principals here in B-bos. And I think the last principal here, the last name I could find, was a Mr. Wynand Lou. And there were 9 pupils here when the school closed in 1988. It had to close due to a lack of students. But you can see here, the school now is a pub selling ijskoude bier, ijskoud beer. So let's go and check it out. An old school converted into a pub. That could be very interesting indeed. You can see a garden here as well, old barrel. And Windhoek lager for sale here. And here we go. A nice hall. This must have been the student hall. And today it's a dining area by the looks of it. People in this part of South Africa, like everywhere else, they've won 4 World Cups. Big rugby fans in this part of South Africa as well. Yeah, so actually a very interesting setup. And I'd imagine if there's a party on a Saturday night here, it can get pretty rough. Yeah, let's go down here and see what they've got. Okay, restaurant area, and you've got the darts over there. You've got a nice view out here of B-bos and the surrounding nature. And yes, this is the bar area, and that is very interesting. Look at that, an old school board where they write on with a chalk. I think we need to inspect this a little bit more closely. Check this out. Raka and Nicole, looks like some sort of wedding. Look at that. I told you B-bosses are good at art. Look at the happy couple there. And here you can see the old 8-veer for the board and the pieces of chalk. This brings back memories from my school days. There's no white chalk here because they like it a bit colourful here in B-bos. And the names on the board here, I've been told that they are all people from the surrounding areas, from the community, who've donated something for the wedding. Isn't that fantastic? That is true community spirit. Tristan, I think he's donated a salad. Wessel donated the wedding car. You can see there Lisa, some baked bread. So Raka and Nicole, how lucky you are. And we wish you all the best for your wedding on the 20th of November. And some more photos of good nights here in B-bos over many years, I'm sure. And daytimes, of course, as well. And yeah, right at the back. Oh wow, look at the view here from outside the pub. You've got the beautiful mountains over there, all the trees, and some houses there from the town. What a wonderful place to come to unwind. B-bos. Right, we say goodbye to the school, the O School, and as we walk down back into town, I'll tell you more about Witblits, or as the Englishman would say, white lightning. Yes, Witblits. B-bos is of course famous for the distillation of that potent brew. Now of course distilling Witblits became illegal after the establishment of the KWV, which I talked about in Robertson, and law enforcement, they stepped in. Anyone who were involved in the Witblits or white lightning, they had to deal with the law. And there are countless tales in this town of illegal distilling and encounters with police and government officials. But Witblits was not just a drink here in B-bos, it was a way of life. It was used for celebration, but also for medicine. It had medicinal qualities, so if you had a cold, many people believed just take a shot of Witblits and you'll be better. The sip of Witblits was very much a bit of rebellion against the rules, but it also added a layer of excitement for people. If you've ever drank Witblits, let me know in the comments. It is a pretty potent drink, and I have to admit I can't remember if I've had it before. I'm certainly not keen on it now. Here's an example of some of the stuff. Of course, in South Africa today you need some paperwork and a license to produce this, but yeah, some potent Witblits in here with a bit of a fruity touch. Pitako. I don't drink alcohol, but I will laugh at you for having a sip here. And on another drinking related matter, the song 12 Bottle Kan from Mani Groenewald and his B-bos Orkest, that also is inspired by an event from around 1953, I think, around that time. And it's a cargo ship named the Bulwark that ran aground near Gansbaai, and that ship was transporting barrels of export wine which ended up floating in the sea, and the locals of Gansbaai took their trawler boats out to retrieve some of those bottles in the water And Marnie would tell stories of how the locals enjoyed the wine for months afterward. The 12 bottle can. Right guys, an interesting day of filming, and I'm here in Suikerbekkie Street, Suikerbekkie Straat, next to the church, and this is also where I'm staying for the night. I've booked 2 nights accommodation here. People do like the rustic look in this part of South Africa, and again this shell used for decorations, some succulents, and a very interesting scene there. Oh gosh, what is that? That is a interesting face. I'm just entering the garden next to my humble abode for the night. You see Suikerbekkiebos, and I am based in this cottage over here, I guess you can call it. Anyway, yeah, lock opened, and let's go inside, show you where I'm staying for 2 nights here in B-bos. How lovely is this? You've got a nice double bed here, and you've also got a double bed over here. You can see there I've got a kettle and some gas. Over there if I need to, I've got some cutlery and pans, some cups. I've got a little bar fridge, and I've got a little tea and coffee station there. And yeah, look at this, the sink, but in an old barrel. And I've got a microwave there as well. I've got some paintings of horses and displays of horses there as well. People in B-bos, they love horses over there as well. I've got a wardrobe here. I've got some towels there as well. I've got a place to hang my clothes if I need to. Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed in myself making up the bed. Missed a little corner there. But nonetheless, my discipline issues aside, I am having a really nice stay here in B-bos. A real authentic B-bos feel as well. So yeah, what a nice place. And it was the same price for 1 person and for 4, and I paid exactly 1,253 rand and 5 cents for 2 nights. And that's not all. I'll show you the rest of the complex here, because you might have asked yourself, where's my bathroom? Well, it's in here. Actually, let me lock this first, because there are loads of puff adders in the area, and I don't want any puff adder sneaking in there. So now let me go and show you the facilities here. So you've got a little horseshoe over there, but you can also open it here. And how nice is this? Again, the barrel and the sink there with some nice soaps and lotions. You've got a little mirror there. You've got some photographs here. And yes, here's the shower. You can see there's the taps, the shower at the top, and again the horseshoe motor featuring strongly. And this is my favorite bit, the loo. It's one of those that doesn't flush, but you do have some materials there that you can use to the best of your ability, I guess. So yes, a really nice experience. And you can see here's some seating areas outside, and wonderful trees and the sounds of nature. I slept like a baby last night, you know, the wind through the trees and the birds. It was so nice. Anyways, let's get back in here. I did forget to show you the book of Ben Bernardi. Here is the book that I mentioned earlier, the book written there by Ben Bernardi, Baardskeerdersbos, Pieke and Kronieke, 1652, so that's when Jan van Riebeeck came to South Africa, until 2004. Ben Bernardi unfortunately passed away before his book was published, but it really helped me a lot with the history and with some stories of the area, so I just want to say thank you for that. Anyways everyone, I think this is where I'll end the vlog. I hope you enjoyed this tour of Baardskeerdersbos, Beardshaversbush, or B-bos. Call it what you want, one of those 3 would suffice. And if you haven't done it yet, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment for me as well in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. Tell me what you thought of a place. What do you think of life in rural South Africa, away from the hustle and bustle of the cities? For now, I just want to say again, thanks for watching my videos, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers, take it easy. Kan ek nou maar ry? Baie dankie.